Okay. All right. We're on YouTube. Rudy, what kind of car is that?
It's a Lamborghini.
Lamborghini?
Yeah.
Okay. Not the ones that I see.
The problem with these cars is they're absolutely gorgeous, but if somebody like me were to try to get in and I were able to get in, it'd be next to impossible to get out. So,
I saw a video of a guy who actually had to crawl out on all fours in order to get out.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he was laughing so hard he couldn't stand up either.
But
Well, I
they're
was driving behind one, maybe it was a Lamborghini a few years ago, and the license plate said PP.
PP.
Rudy, you don't know what that is?
PP.
Hmm?
PP. PP
Hmm?
like baby PP.
No, like Peter Picnelli?
Oh, oh.
Duh. It's very
Well,
obvious.
you didn't say you were driving around here. It could have been
I was
somewhere else.
driving on Converse.
Oh,
You know
Converse.
where
Oh,
his house is?
yeah, I know where it is.
Next to the park?
It's near where Alan Goodman used to live.
Yes, there's a big park, like
Big, big,
a
yeah,
mile this way,
yeah,
mile that, or 2 miles that way, and the street next to it, one street goes like this, and it goes like that.
all the way around. Yeah.
And his house is here. You come up from this side of the
Yep.
street
Yep.
like that.
The tennis courts are on one side. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge plot of land
Mhm.
with street on three sides.
Yeah.
Okay, we are on YouTube. And for those who don't know, Peter Picnelli is the owner of Peter Pan Bus Lines and real estate.
And
Uh, what?
Monarch Place.
Monarch Place. Well, he
And
died, and his kids
yeah,
split it.
yeah.
Welcome to Garden of the Spirit, a class studying apples in the orchard for the second time beginning after Pesach 2014. This class meets in Longmeadow, Massachusetts, the center of the universe, and is held in memory of Malkuth Bas Moshe, Mark Republic, Global Blessed Memory. Apples from the Orchard contains selections of teachings of Kabbalah from the Arizal or Visakluria based on the weekly Torah portion, superbly translated and explained by Rabbi Moshe Wisnowski. Okay, so we started 12 years ago. We're finishing the second time around. One or two more classes.
God willing. How many pages are left?
14. 14?
Wow.
Today we're doing 5.
12 years. Holy cow.
Today we're doing 4 classes. 4 pages. Even less. Yes, and the next one will be 2 classes after this. And that's it. 2 more classes after this.
And then what?
And then, well, I think we're going to do I don't want to commit, but I think we'll do Zera Shimshon Rus and see how that goes. We could do different things. We don't have to do the
Okay, good.
entire Zera. We could start with it, do something else, come back to it.
Okay, sounds good.
If I can remember what I need to do now. We're on page 1057. Okay, now, Yaakov crossed the river Yabok on his way back to Canaan when he left his uncle Lavan. It was there that he remained alone and was attacked, was jumped.
Mugged.
What?
Mugged.
Yeah, he was jumped by an angel of Vezot. The river Yabok was of great significance, as we will see. Yaakov lived for 20 years by Lavan. Yaakov actually prayed to Hashem that he be protected from picking up Lavan's bad habits. Lavan's primary wicked trait was greed. This is why he cheated Yaakov throughout the 20 years. It was just to accumulate more money for himself and pay as little as he could get away with. Lavan did not cheat others for this just for the sake of cheating or the thrill of the kill. It was driven by his own greed, and he even sold his daughters to satisfy his greed. And from my understanding, is not he did not do so he did not do bad for the sake of doing bad. He wasn't like just a career criminal. He just was very, very greedy and did whatever he could. Nothing stood in his way to accumulate more wealth. When someone cheats you or insults you, it's only natural to want to get back at them the same way. And I do want to point out that many people read this and think, oh, that's not like me. But I think that many people are without realizing it, how much they do this. Yaakov resisted and maintained self-control throughout the 20 years. His own character was greatly refined and strengthened. His Yetzer Hara was diminished. And as great as he was before, he was like a different person now. If you think of it, before he had never been tested, and now he is tested. That phone call was about the loan application that they just need a little more information on that I never filled out. So now that he was like a different person, the name Yaakov was not suitable, did not suit him, and he earned the title Yisrael. So we know the angel told Yaakov that he would receive the name Yisrael. That he would receive the name Yisrael from the word sar, nobility, same as the name Sarah. And it's not just nobility, it means to be a noble person over somebody else. Yaakov acted like a minister. Today, minister in Israel is called a sar, a minister over the angel and over Lavan, as if he managed them. He was their manager, in a sense. And that is what the word over the angel and over Lavan. It also contains the letters of and alludes to the word Rosh, head, and Yashar, upright. So this change in Yaakov is marked in the Torah when it says he crossed the ford of Yabok. Yabok indicates a very high level of self-refinement. Yabok also stands for Yichuda Bracha Kudsha, oneness, blessing, and holiness. Yabok also contains 3 letters of Yaakov's name, Yud, Kuf, and Beis, and it's missing the ayin. So, Abigail, page 1057, please begin.
They will teach your judgments to Jacob and your Torah to Israel. They will place incense in your nostril and the burnt offering on your altar. Bless, O God, his legions. In the course of his blessing, Moshe blesses each tribe individually. This is part of his blessing to his own tribe, that of Levi.
Okay, 2. In Moshe's bracha to the tribe of Levi, he says, Yasimu ketara be'apecha. They will place incense in your nostrils. The sweet smell of the incense offered every day invokes God's compassion for Israel. The initials of these 3 words spell Yabok. Okay, continue.
The initials of the words for they will place incense in your nostril, Yasimu Ketorah Bi'apecha, spell Yabok. As we have mentioned previously, the Yabok or Jabbok River was where Yaakov wrestled with the angel of Esau and thus represents the struggle between good and evil.
Okay. Anyone here familiar with Jabbok? Sounds like the Jabberwocky. Anyone familiar with the Jabberwocky?
Yeah, of course.
Lewis Carroll?
Yep.
Monty Python.
'Twas Brillig. Okay. Now, so we're in this chapter, we are um we're building connections between the incense and the river Yabok and what the river Yabok represents. 3. The gematria of Yabok is 112. A few words later, the initials of Al Mizbechecha, Barech. The initials are, which means on your altar. Bless. Then the initials are Ayin 70, Mem 40, and Bays 2, for a total of 112. Okay, continue.
Also, the sum of the numerical values of the initials of the words for on your altar bless, al mizbechecha, barek, is the same as the numerical value of Yabok. The numerical value of Yabok, Yud Beis Kuf, 10 plus 2 plus 100 is 112. The numerical value of these initials, Ayin Mem Beis, 70 plus 40 plus 2 is also 112.
Okay, 4. The word Ketorah, incense, has a value of 100 plus 9 plus 6 plus 200 plus 5, and then 1 for the kolel. Gives us 321. This is the same as Hashem's name, Ekia, plus the word with compassion. And I wrote it here, Ekia Birachamim. So Ekia is 21, and Birachamim with compassion is 2 plus 200 plus 8 plus 40 plus 10 plus 40 is 300. And together, Ekia Birachamim, 321. What this means, and we'll explain in detail, but the word for Torah, incense, is 321, the same as Ekia Berachamim, the name of Hashem, with compassion. Go ahead, page 1058.
Furthermore, the numerical value of the word for incense, ketorah, with the kolel is the same as that of the name Ekia plus that of the word for in mercy. Ketorah, kuftet, vav, resh, hey, 100 plus 9 plus 6 plus 200 plus 5 equals 320. Adding 1 for the word as a whole, the kolel, gives 321. The numerical value of the name Ekia, aleph, hey, yud, hey, 1 plus 5 plus 10 plus 5 is 21. That of in mercy, berachamim, beis resh het mem yud mem, 2 plus 200 plus 8 plus 40 plus 10 plus 40 is 300. Together, 21 plus 300 equals 321.
Okay, so Hashem's name Ekia is associated with judgment. It's tempered when it's joined with Birachamim, with compassion. Birachamim, with compassion, is actually a stand-in for Hashem's name Havaya, a name of compassion. Okay, now we're going to explain how this is. So we know that letters can be substituted for other letters in a system called At-Bash. And that means that the first letter of what? The first letter of the Aleph, Bet, is switched for the last letter of the alphabet. The second letter of the alphabet is switched for the second to last letter of best. Is switched for the second letter from the end of the alphabet. It's the third letter and switch to the third letter from the end and so on. In this system, Yud Ke Vav Ke, Havaya, becomes Mem Tzadik Pei Tzadik. Matzpatz. And the gematria of matzpatz is an even 300. the same as birachamim, with compassion. So birachamim can be a substitute for havaya. Again, you take yud ke vav ke, you switch it for atbash, and that's 300, and that has a gematria of 300, and so does birachamim with compassion. So barachamim can be a substitute for havaya. When we say ekia barachamim, Hashem's name ekia with compassion, it indicates that the judgment of ekia, it gets sweetened, and which also happens when the incense is offered daily by the Kohen. The judgment gets sweetened. Okay, go ahead to explain.
To explain, the name Havaya signifies God's attribute of mercy. This name in Atbash is Mem Tzaddik Pei Tzaddik, the numerical value of which is 300, which is the numerical value for the word for in mercy. The name Ekya signifies God's attribute of strict judgment, since it is associated with the parts of Ima, the source of judgment. Burning the incense caused the name Havaya to combine with the attribute of judgment, sweetening it. The name Havaya, being God's proper name, is in many cases devoid of any association with any of God's attributes. When it is associated with God's attributes, it signifies the attribute of mercy, the inner dimension of the Sephira of Tiferes. Atbash is the letter substitution system in which the first letter of the alphabet is substituted for the last, the second for the second to last, and so on. Aleph is thus replaced by Tav and Beis by Shin, hence the abbreviation Atbash. Thus, the fact that the Atbash of the name Havaya is numerically equivalent to the words for in mercy indicates that this name signifies complete mercy inside and out. The name Ekia is associated with Bina. In its role as the analyzer of the insight of Chachma, Bina must make use of the attribute of judgment in order to weigh the validity of the various associations between the new insight and the existing mental structure that suggest themselves.
Okay. Thank you.
Does Matz Potts, does that mean anything, or is it just an acronym?
Just right. It doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
Matz means squeeze.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's used in common, what do you call it?
Oh, is that why the word for juice is meats?
Yes, no one will tell you that. I told that to some Israelis and they laughed at me, and then when I showed them how it was right, they were like, wow. Matzah is what happens when you squeeze dough.
Right.
Meats is what happens when you squeeze fruit.
Yeah. And the pots, any?
It's a town in Pennsylvania called Pottsville.
All right.
Number 6. We just showed how the incense is associated with the Yabok River, the Jabberwocky. Yabok Yud Beis Kuf has a gematria of 112. 112 is the sum of Havaya and Elokim, 26 and 86. Again, judgment, meaning judgment represented by Elokim, tempered by Chesed of Havaya. So Elokim gets tempered by Yudke Vavke. That is Yabok, 112. And via Yudke Vavke, Elokim is also 112. Okay, go ahead, Abigail.
This is alluded to in the word for incense, as mentioned. The word for incense used in the verse Ketorah is numerically, in this verse, Ketorah, is numerically the sum of the name Ekya, 21, plus in mercy, 300, i.e. the union of the names Ekya and Havaya, the latter being numerically included in this equation by virtue of its numerical value in Atbash. At any nexus point in the struggle between good and evil, signified by the confrontation between Yaakov and the angel of Esau at the Jabbok River, the goal is to sweeten the severe judgments in order that evil or negativity be subdued and subsumed within holiness. The above exposition explains, as Rabbi Shmuel Vital, son of Rabbi Chaim Vital, notes, why the word ketorah is used in this verse rather than the more usual ketoras. Obviously, the numerical equivalencies would not work if the usual form of the word were used.
Okay, so usually we call it Ketoras. Over here, it's just called Ketorah, which is the same thing.
Is there a commonality with Keturah?
What's Keturah?
I found this on the web.
Abraham's wife, who was Hagar.
Yes. So the
Hmm.
Medrash says there that they called her Ketorah because her deeds were as pleasing to Hashem as the Ketoras.
Mhm.
Okay, number 7. In Moshe's bracha to Levi, he says, they will place incense in your nostrils. The word for nose, nostril, af, is also used for anger. So this implies that the service of the incense tempers the judgment and dispels Hashem's anger. Okay, go ahead. Finish up 189.
Burning the incense also caused the name Havaya, which signifies God's attribute of mercy, to combine with another name that indicates God's attribute of judgment, Elohim, in order to mitigate its power. This combination is alluded to in the word Yabok, whose numerical value, 112, is the same as the combined numerical values of the names Havaya, 26, and Elohim, 86. Thus, we have here another indication of the power of the incense to sweeten the attribute of judgment. We are told that, in at least one instance, when God got angry at the Jewish people, the incense stayed his wrath. Numbers 17, 6 through 15. This is the mystical meaning of the word in your nostril, as we have noted, the incense sweetened the power of strict judgment. The Hebrew word for nostril, off, also means anger.
Okay. Thank you. So that is what the tribe of Levi offers they place the Ketorah, the incense. Okay. Next chapter, number 4. Moshe gave a bracha to the tribes of Yosef that they have choice fruit. He speaks of produce that grow because of the light of the sun, and some produce that grow because of the light of the moon. There are 2 words in Hebrew for moon, levana and yareach. And that's what this is going to be about. Abigail, go ahead. Page 1059, chapter 4.
The many moons of Yosef. Yosef's portion of the land will be blessed with the choice fruits that are produce of the light of the sun and with choice fruits brought forth by the light of the moon. This was part of Moshe's blessing to Joseph's tribes. There are 2 synonyms for moon in Hebrew, levana, literally white, and yareach. Here, the latter synonym is used, and it is in the plural. So the literal translation of the second half of the verse would be, and with the choice fruits brought forth by the moons.
Okay, the levana refers to the moon. This I never knew. Levana refers to the moon in its full state, and yareach refers to the moon when it's not full. Yareach in this pasuk, Yareach in this pasuk is in the plural form because there are many phases of the moon when it's not full. Levana only appears in the singular form because it only refers to the full moon. Go ahead.
The difference between the terms Yareach and Levana is that Yareach signifies the moon in its incomplete state, while Levana signifies the full moon. This is why the term Yareach appears in the plural, while the term Levana never does. Since there are many forms of the incomplete moon, but only one form of the full moon, Yareach can appear in the plural form, whereas it would be inappropriate for Levana to take the plural. The meaning of the verse now can be understood to be, and with choice fruits that are brought forth by the various phases and appearances of the moon.
Okay, now Pasuk in Tilm says, Yifrach b'yom of tzadik v'rov shalom ad bli yareach. A righteous person will blossom in his days and abundant peace until there will be no moon, yareach. This refers to the times of Mashiach, when the light of the moon will be like the light of the sun, and the moon will shine bright and not go through phases. We paraphrased this. We paraphrased this pasuk. It's actually this second pasuk that says that the light of the moon will be like the light of the sun. Is we paraphrase it in the prayer for the moon that we say every month, in which the term Levana is used for the moon, because we're talking about the moon at its zenith, at its brightest. He doesn't make reference to this other pasuk. Okay, go ahead.
In number 2, your second Yareach doesn't match the spelling of the first one.
Why not?
You're spelling it Y-E-R-E, and the other two, you're spelling it Y-A-R-E.
He uses the A.
Yeah, like that?
Yep. That's how
Okay.
that's how you spelt the other two. Yeah.
That is. Okay, good. Thanks for pointing it out.
Yeah.
This is also the meaning of the verse, a righteous person will blossom in his days, and abundant peace until there, and abundant peace until there be no Yareach. This verse is cast in the future when the moon will no longer be called Yareach, but only Levana. As we have seen, the moon is a manifestation of the Sephirah of Malchus, the source of the souls of the Jewish people. As such, the waxing and waning of the moon is understood to reflect the spiritual rise and fall of the fortune of the Jews. Moreover, the moon was originally intended to be equal to the sun, which is a manifestation of Zeranpin. But in order to precipitate history and the odyssey of exile and redemption, the moon was diminished, i.e., sent to retrieve the sparks of holiness from the exile. The messianic redemption, the return of the Jewish people to their homeland, and the fulfillment of history are thus conceived of as the return of the moon to its original, constantly full state, and even its eventual restoration to the brightness of the sun. The verse quoted, speaking of the Messianic era, thus refers to the future as the time when the term Yareach, referring to the unending waxing and waning of the moon, will no longer be relevant.
Okay. All right. So there you have it. And we now have 11 pages left, or
Wow.
10 and a half. So we'll do that in 2 lessons.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you, Chaim.
Okay,
Yeah.
folks,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome. Be well. Mincha 7:20.
All right. Be well.
Spirit moves you.
Care. Bye-bye.
Bye, Abigail.
Bye, Abigail.
See you later. Have a good night.